Hey guys, Fleet Feet here with another war selection video. This time we're going to be looking at a replay that I've never actually watched yet. It's just a 1v1 against Xyta, and I believe it's against Francisco. Hey look, I'm right there. That's fun. The hell was I saying? Yeah, 1v1 against Xyta against Francisco. I don't know who wins. I haven't watched this game at all yet. I know it's a decently high level 1v1. I've ran into Francisco before he started super hardcore grinding, but Francisco's definitely on the list of players that I've seen just like playing with like Sucks Like and other good 1v1 players and just grinding. So I have a pretty decent expectation that both of these players will be on a pretty high level. And I'm pretty excited to see what kind of things they get up to. Just loosely, from what I know of the 1v1 meta, I'm expecting Stone Warrior pressure from one side and Stone Warrior defense, if not Stone Warrior on both sides. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's what we're going to be getting into. So I'm going to pop the replay into my code here, and then let's get into the game. See what happens. Looks like we've got Francisco on this side. Immediately blowing up his bulwark. Going to build a hut, normal stuff. Let's full on disable Fog of War, see if we can find another player on the map. Good news. There are, in fact, 2 players in this game. The other one's Xyta. Looks like Xyta, similar opening, just decided that his bulwark gets to live, so that's nice. That's it. I find that that's friendly for the guy who here is nice and bored and standing in a circle, and here is... yeah, he's dead. He's died, and... the worst part of him being dead is that his buddies can't even gather his corpse. He's just going to decay into the floor. It's a hard life, but he did his best. As for why Francisco did that, probably because it was going to get in the way of his berries, and very, very rarely do bulwarks actually mean anything in the early game. Interestingly, it looks like Francisco's actually choosing to scout some with his starting workers. I wonder what he's looking for. I think he's just planning out where he's going to place his TC. I'm not entirely sure. At this point in the game, as we've come to expect, there's very little deviation. Like, you don't really get to know what somebody's doing until about 2-ish minutes where you start to see little bits and pieces of what's going on. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people on berries. I don't have Xyta up. Xyta is getting the firewood ropes upgrade, so this looks like a very similar opening to kind of my standard, which is certainly not me taking credit for it. It's what everybody does, or what a lot of people do. It's just like a bog standard opening. It's actually a pretty nice wood line here as far as starting positions go. Actually, Francisco's is pretty nice. He's only got his first cluster of starting trees, so he doesn't have any... I don't actually know if he's scouted because we've got Fog of War off. I don't know if he scouted any of this beautiful, wonderful tree line that has no animals terribly near it. There's these 2 terrifying bears, but, you know, whatever. He did check back here, so he knows that this wood line is kind of sparse. But yeah, I think this warehouse first makes sense. We've stopped building huts at this point, which is suspicious. So I'll keep an eye on that, see if he does. We can see, like, we're at, what, 8? Huts here. Ooh, warehouse on free berries from Xyta. Also starting up a fight pit. It's conspicuous that we're only at 6 huts for Francisco and not building more. I wonder what he's got planned. Looks like a scout was doing some behind-the-lines scouting and is going to go find his enemy's base now. Does it screw everything up? Yeah, it doesn't work. Good to know, good to know. So, what do we got going on in Xyta's base? We've got 2 guys building a fight pit. It's not clear yet if this is for defensive reason or offensive reasons. He's not building a stone cutter first, so I suspect it's for offensive reasons. Yeah, I'm not up on the meta. I don't know for sure. Oh, this is juicy. It's Francisco, I see what you've got going on here, and I like it. Also, this... Francisco has 13 frickin' dudes gathering berries. I don't know if this is just because he can't get a warehouse in anywhere around here, so he's kind of annoyed by that, so he has to have more dudes to get the same rate of food income. And I don't think... or his... Where's his scout? Francisco, where's your scout? Did you blow it up? Did you murder it? Oh no, it's up here. It's off... We don't know. We don't know. So the way that, I guess we could go into that. So the way that 1v1 map generation works is that it will the game to some extent calculates the landmass and will put you on opposite sides of the landmass. So if Francisco had spawned here, because we can see the whole map and know what it looks like, we would know that Xyta would spawn somewhere like probably here. So if Francisco spawned here, Xyta would probably spawn right here. Similarly, if Francisco spawned up here, then Xyta would spawn on the opposite side of the landmass calculated. So he would spawn here. Because Francisco spawned here, the opposite side of the landmass, the game figures out the landmass, like calculates something of the landmass, and then tries to place the opponent on the opposite of it. It places him diagonally here. So Francisco probably has scouted some of this area and is not clear on what the landmass looks like, but as soon as he knows what the landmass looks like, he would know that Xyta is down here in this corner. Unfortunately, it looks like he hasn't figured that out. Plus, there's all of these trees in the way, so eventually he's going to work his way down here. And at this point, he's pretty certain that his opponent's down here because he would have scouted far enough up here to see any borders if he was up here. And it would make the landmass like he would be running into a river or something here if Xyta was to be spawned up here. Anyway, he's going to eventually find his opponent. Unfortunately for Francisco, it looks like his opponent's going to be well on the way to everything he wanted to do in the early game before he gets to scout any of it. Just take a look at what we got going on here. We've got 41 workers. We're at just past 5 minutes, so we've been producing workers pretty much nonstop. We've also got 12 warriors. And we've got our temple down, but we have not yet started any Bronze Age tech. And it looks like we're securing some even more extra food. Unfortunately, there's a couple of wild animals that want to murder his ass, but you know what happens. We also have an absolute ton of dudes on food. So Xyta is currently in a position where he can, and is setting himself up to, not need to do any Bronze Age thing early because he's got some 3,000 extra food kicking around. There's 5, 10, 1,500. Three cows and a boar is another 1,600, and then even more up here. Like, he's got a ton of extra food, so he doesn't actually have to go Bronze Age to keep food income going. But he does need to get Bronze Age if he wants to get to that 60 of 60 supply. So what I'm seeing right now in Xyta's base is that, oh my god, he has done a good job of collecting all of this extra food and finding it and running it down, and he's got even more up here if he needed it. He's actually going to take a mammoth out as well. He's just going to be able to power off of, unfortunately, only 2 fight pits. I'm hoping he puts up more fight pits before he gets to Bronze Age. But he's going to be able to power warriors as many as he wants for pretty much the foreseeable future, just because of how much extra food he has. Meanwhile, in Francisco's base, let's see what he's doing on workers. He's got 51 workers, so he's got even more workers than his opponent does. He's got a faster Bronze Age timing. It looks like he's going into Bronze Age of Asia, whereas Xyta was going into Europe. And Francisco also did find some extra food, but can't fit a warehouse in too close to that. He also has a mammoth that he has his temple right nearby, which is awesome. So Francisco's also gone out of his way a little bit to secure a little bit of extra food. He also had a freaking crocodile in there. Crocodiles are the worst. They're so strong for what they are. Alligators, I suppose. 25 damage. They have 3R, 2.6 average armor in the early game. They're such a pain in the ass to deal with. The only advantage you have against them is that they're slow and stupid, so they like run around in circles. Oh, but this is unfortunate. Francisco actually only gets 1 fight pit up and no stonecutter before Bronze Age finishes. So his only defense... Ooh, he's got 4 bulwarks. I didn't notice that because I'm blind. Ooh, he's setting up a nice wall too. If you can get that wall up before warriors get to him, he'll have some space. Only having 1 fight pit's a bit sad because a lot of if you're going into Asia, the Stone Age units are really good in the early game. So if you have 3 or 4 fight pits, you can build a bunch of slingers, or you can build a bunch of stone warriors, and they're arguably better than your spearmen that you'd be able to make, and the archers that you'd be able to make. Missing that opportunity hurts a little bit. If you could just had enough time, or just microed a little bit enough to get a couple extra fight pits down, that would be sweet. Are we double pop? We're double pop! Hey everybody, this replay is double population! Huh. Good to know. That changes a lot. This all makes more sense now. I was wondering how the fuck Francisco was powering to 51 workers in the Stone Age and just, like, being okay with that. Normally that's a death sentence, and you'd get attacked with Stone Age pressure and just get run the hell over. Both players look like they're putting a pretty strong emphasis on walling up. I'm interested that there was no early attacking, but now that I'm thinking about it, now that we've got this extra information that it's actually a double pop game, I think that this is a local tournament, like an in-house tournament that one of the Discord servers I'm in was doing, that was a double pop and 10-minute peacetime. That explains a lot. That explains why we didn't see any stonecutters first and upgrades for Stone Age stuff, and like big emphasis on Stone Age play. We didn't go for that because it's a 10-minute peacetime. So you would have to. It is a thing that you can definitely do, and we would definitely, like, I'm sure if I watched other replays from this tournament, we would see a lot of people building up a huge amount of Stone Age units and then having, like, balling them up and balling them up and balling them up and then going out at 10 minutes. That's not what we saw this game. It looks like both players, in anticipation of that, have put in these indestructible fortresses against Stone Age people that have an average armor of infinity as far as Stone Age people are concerned, because they can never do damage to walls and never do anything to them. It's pretty wonderful for them. Okay, now that we understand what the hell's going on in the game, let's take a look and reconsider what's going on. Looks like Francisco did get his stonecutter down in time, so he's got his stonecutter in his one fight pit, and his one fight pit is happily producing slingers. But as we can see, we haven't secured food in quite the same capacity. We have this boar we could kill. We have another boar that used to be over here. I don't know where it went. We have a mammoth that we could kill, but this needs to happen, or people need to get rallied to this, or we needed a warehouse over here so we can get this, or we needed a warehouse over here so we can get this. We needed some extra food just so we can keep this ball rolling, because right now we're stuck at 0 food and that hurts a little bit. We've got a cajillion workers because it's a double pop game. That's pretty amazing. I like it. But meanwhile, on Xyta's side, it looks like didn't use all of our extra food. We still have some of it kicking around. These look like dead. That's a dead cow. Yeah, so we still had an extra 1,000 or so food. We had a warehouse over here that we could have put. We actually mined a lot of that. Oh, we had a warehouse here. I gotcha. Xyta's in a pretty good spot. Looks like he's going into Iron Age. And as Europe, we have a hell of a lot of really strong Iron Age timing. So I'm curious what one Xyta's going to do. Unfortunately, again, the battle. Unfortunately, again, because I turned Fog of War off immediately, we don't actually get to see what is scouted and what is not. But I'm expecting, at this point, we saw Xyta's scout die here, I think, to Slingers. He knows that his opponent is super duper walled up. He's at least seen enough of that. So he knows that he would know that if Xyta's planning out a strategy at this point and transitioning into Iron Age, he knows that Heavy Spearman timing, for example, wouldn't work terribly well, because he's going to have, he does have walls already, and he has the capacity to produce a bunch of archers. So if Xyta were to go for a Heavy Spearman timing, Heavy Spearman Europe is really strong if they can fight units, but not very strong against buildings. Wouldn't get very far. Francisco would have tons of time to react and to do stuff. I do like this number of barracks coming from Xyta, though. That's awesome, because it's double population, so I can't actually tell, or double pop would be 120 for the base. So we can't actually tell whether or not he got the first population upgrade yet. I don't think that you do in double population, just because it cuts a lot of worker production for not a lot of gain. You go up from 60 to 90 normally, so you go from 120 to 180 in these games. And it would be really hard to have 180 units at this timing in the game. That said, he's probably going to get it after Iron Age finishes. Yeah, we did not get extra beds and homes. We did not get the first upgrade. Which is fine. And it looks like we started the sword timing. So we're either going swordsmen or legionnaires. Legionnaires and double pop would be kind of hilarious. You certainly have enough workers. Like, he probably has some 70, 80, or 60 workers right now. I'm surprised that neither of them have opted to actually build piers or docks and start building boats. There we go. We see Xyta starting one. just because if you're having double population, it's so hard to build. Like, they're going to just produce workers and workers and workers and workers, but it's so hard to actually get all the way up there. You can see he's got 3 dudes running around building houses, because as soon as this sword upgrade finishes, we're going to start thundering out, judging by the resources, because we're stacking food and iron, and we're not accumulating a shit ton of wood. I expect it's just going to be raw swordsmen. If it was legionnaires, there are 120, there are like 100, 125, 100, I guess the information's right here. Yeah, 100, 125, 125. So we would need even more guys on iron. We'd have to have a warehouse and some more guys mining iron here. And we'd have to have a hell of a lot better wood economy to sustain legionnaires off of 7 barracks. 8 barracks. 8 barracks. 10 barracks. Perfect. Getting the armor upgrade and grindstone, so it does look like we're going to be spamming out swords as soon as we feel our economy's online. I do like that we're getting 3p, 2.5. We're getting 2 and 2% of 1 pier. Sure, fish baskets first, whatever. And also, finally, we see Francisco's working on getting piers as well. Francisco hasn't allowed himself a lot of space here. He doesn't really have that much space to build. If he's going into Middle Ages, we can always check. So he's actually just getting his Iron Age now. But if he's looking to get into in Middle Age timing, like if he was going to build elephant houses, this is unfortunate, by the way. If he was going to build elephant houses, he'd need a bit more space than this. It's not too hard for him to expand if he needed to. Like, he'd be able to run out here with a bunch of archers and then wall this off if he needed to. Just because you can make segments. Like, if he walls this off and then he has all of this space to work with and can wall this off if he needs to, it's a freaking long way for units to go around. He has the opportunity to take more space if he needs it. It's just something that he'll start needing to think about now, because he's got a massive number of workers. He's got almost 80, even though he's lost some to alligators and stuff. And he's going to have even more production through this. So we kind of need to start seeing what Francisco's longer-term plan is. It looks like he's playing defensive and playing into a lot of archers. So we're getting the archer upgrades. We have a probably decent number. Yeah, we have 44 archers. We're pretty safe against any attack that's going to come our way, unless it was a bunch of legionnaires, because this shit would do absolutely no damage to them ever. Which sucks, but, you know, it's one of the downsides of Asia. You get really strong food economy, you get really strong timings, you get the capacity to produce a lot of workers really fast, but you can't deal with some of the super heavy Iron Age or early Middle Age Europe units very easily. It's quite hard for you to deal with them. So you see that space problem. We had to delete that one shooting range in order to get our archers out. We're producing some... Hey, we don't have these on. That was silly of me. Why the hell do those show up as... that's gross. Go away. That was going to throw me off forever. I don't know why the border colors are all messed up. There we go. Okay, that makes sense. We have a bunch of workers going on a mission to God knows what. It might be that this is our plan to claim space on the map. We haven't actually seen, like, we haven't scouted our opponent in a long time, so we don't know what he's doing. We probably see this area, so we know that he has a bunch of mystery buildings that we can assume are barracks. These would either be barracks or stables. So we can't actually know which, so unless we had scouted and I missed it, Francisco needs to be scared of or prepared for either a big Iron Age push of swordsmen or axemen or legionnaires, or European cavalry off of 8 stables or 10 stables just to take the map over. Both are possibilities. This would get completely destroyed and absolutely shut down by a bunch of horsemen running across the map. Light Knights are not great anymore, but even regular European horsemen would be able to just run over these little towers and then take the map. And then you have a big squad of horsemen that could run around this area, and that early expansion that we were talking about, where Francisco might theoretically want to wall this off, and then get to early Middle Ages, build some elephant huts, and go for an elephant-based timing. That would be hard. That would be shut down by Xyta going for a whole bunch of stables and just shutting down the map. Basically, you would lock your opponent into the walls, and they wouldn't be able to do anything. In this case, Xyta went for a crap ton of swordsmen. So let's take a look and see what we've actually got moved out. We've got 38 swordsmen moved out. We just finished Eastern Europe, early Middle Ages, so it might be the case that we're going to upgrade one of these to a barracks and go for a bunch of squads. They're a bit cheaper than Landsknecht to upgrade, but Landsknecht are way the hell stronger. But you can see Francisco saw the swordsmen coming. They chopped through some stuff and then mostly ignored workers. They're trying to get through this wall before this wall goes down. Let's see if Francisco can repair in time. It looks like he can. It looks like he'll be fine, and as soon as this wall is upgraded, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder for these swordsmen to cut down. But as you can see, a lot of these smaller chunks of walls look like they're going to fall before they can get repaired. There are holes in the wall. There are a bunch of archers, and swordsmen don't have that much armor, so there's a lot of damage that can be done here. But Francisco's also in the early Middle Ages, and it looks like he's going into Eastern Asia, so he can be going for a... once he shuts down or stops this push, if he doesn't take too much damage, if he can chase down all of these squads of swordsmen before they can chop down a whole bunch of workers or do any serious economy damage, then we're going to have a good opportunity for Francisco to rebound off of the backs of some late Middle Ages hand cannons if he can get there. But he might end up in a situation here where he has to go into recovery mode and rebuild a lot of his workers. Let's switch to Francisco Cam and see. We were at 80 workers about before, and now we're already down to 69, and that number is dropping. We're doing a good job of killing these swordsmen, but we're not fixing this problem in our wall. We do have a good vision all over our borders, so we know that there aren't more swordsmen coming. And it actually looks like this is a play that I like a lot from Xyta. This is a play that I myself don't do enough. I'm going for a later timing now. These barracks, I'm Eastern Europe. I don't really need them. They're not that good. This is a bit unfortunate, but they don't do that much anyway. Let's see what we're at. What was the damage? We made it all the way down to 55 workers from about 80. So that attack, I'd say, is successful. Here's what I was talking about possibly recovery mode. It looks like Francisco's going to get the other population upgrade, and then he has 125 workers queued up. I really doubt that he's actually going to build 125 workers, but still, Francisco might think at this point that the best plan is to get his economy back up and back online so that he can keep thundering out units so that he can defend against another wave, just in case Xyta is producing another wave at home. He actually did get some space outside of his base, so he's got an extra warehouse here. This is a vulnerable point. He has no idea that swordsmen aren't directly attacking this, so it would probably be a good idea to put up one, if not more, guard towers, whatever they're called for Eastern Asia. They are called guard towers. Heck yeah. Guardian towers for Eastern Asia, just so that in the event that a bunch of swordsmen run by, you can pop all these guys into 2 or 3 Guardian towers. They're totally fine. You don't lose any workers. You get to carry on with your life. It is really nice that Francisco found the time to do this, though, where Francisco can see a ton of the map. So if the follow-up to this from Xyta, if the follow-up to this was to be West Middle Ages, or West Europe, and then do a fully upgraded squad of Landsknecht, if they come straight at Francisco, he sees them here. He sees them at this point. Like, that's so soon. And Landsknecht are like ridiculously slow, so they would take forever to get to his base. The same is true if they came all the way around here. If you saw a bunch of Landsknecht coming through here, you don't see them terribly fast, but they're still so freaking slow that you have a lot of time to react. This, getting the chance to push out vision like this, is so good. Getting the chance to upgrade one of these, just so it's a little more resilient against an attack, is good also, because you could see this squad's moving out to take some of this pressure away and cut down some of this, or possibly it is. I guess I don't know what Xyta is actually planning with this attack. Yeah, it does look like he's going to try and clean this up, just to pull some of that vision away from Francisco. Meanwhile, back at home, we have a unupgraded We haven't actually upgraded this yet. The reason for that is very, very likely because we have fishing boats, so we can just, like, we don't have to further this economy anymore. If we wanted to, we could send these workers off to wood and then use that extra wood to build up piers here and take over the sea. Yep, our swordsmen are doing a damn good job of just cutting everything down and cleaning everything up. Looks like we do have good information on Xyta's part, where he realizes a vulnerability in what Francisco is doing and how Francisco has set up the map. Francisco did not know that this doesn't... I actually don't know if either player knows if this closes completely right now. I think if we had Fog of War off, we would not know if this chunk of land goes all the way to the edge of the map or not. It looks like Xyta is banking on it not going to the edge of the map. Xyta's building a bunch of siege ships, and he knows, for the most part, that there's no route through. But he's hoping that he can get all the way around the edge of the map and take advantage of the fact that Francisco's TC is built well within range of water. Let's check out how Francisco is doing post-recovery mode. He's still working on those workers. He had 125, and it looks like he's built 13 of them. So he's got 69 workers and a whole bunch of ships. I wonder if this was the play for Francisco. He is prioritizing wood. I wonder if it is the play just because you have fishing boats up at this point and you have ships. So if you need worker or income production, just put it out in piers. And then use the time in your TC to get late Middle Ages so that you can get to a hand cannon timing and go just push with a crap ton of hand cannons. Hand cannons are really good and hard to deal with before, especially if he knew his opponent was not Western Europe. Longbows would do pretty well against hand cannons. They have stupid amounts of range as well and can go and snipe them individually. But hand cannons are kind of like one of the only late Middle Ages timings in the game that's pretty oppressive, honestly. They're like crappy howitzers, but crappy howitzers a good 6 minutes earlier than you can get them normally is pretty good. I'm not familiar enough with the game to know if there are any other timings that you can go in there. I know Chocono are alright units. They have their uses in places. It would probably be worth building a junk or just sending a fishing ship around just to make sure that there's no connection all the way through. Because, oh my god, he is completely hosed if this actually just gets to his base. Francisco is smartly moving out with his units, though. He's had the one attack that came. He had a small follow-up attack that tried to clear out some space and didn't completely work. Like, Francisco still held on to some of his map control, so smartly, Francisco's moving out on the map with his whole bunch of East Asian archers. This is not a particularly powerful force, but the reason that Francisco wants to do this is because he needs information. He needs to get to his opponent's base and see, oh, okay, you're West Europe, or you're East Europe, or you've expanded greedily, and now I can punish those expansions with a whole bunch of archers, like if he has anything outside of his wall. It will also pressure him, it will pressure Xyta to respond. Xyta will have to respond and defend somehow. So if Xyta shows units to defend, then Francisco knows what Xyta has and can respond accordingly. So this is just an information gathering thing. This is just to keep his opponent locked in his base. As Europe, you don't super hate being locked in your base, but that's what's going on. And smartly, Xyta, knowing that he doesn't have any ground-producing units, he deleted all his barracks because he didn't need them. He's just building a bunch of towers at all of his walls so that he doesn't get that hand cannon push that we're talking about come stomping to his door and just run through his stuff. If he has these towers, then he has to at least have things to wait. If he doesn't have these towers, then hand cannons just punch through this gate, a whole bunch of archers run through, and then his whole base is on fire. I'm almost positive they fit through here. It would be very funny to me if Xyta's units got here and just get, like, clustered. And then he has, oh god, some 13, if not more, catapult ships. It's interesting that he's still just rallying catapult ships over. That's crazy. Slowly, Xyta's running out of resources in his proper walled area. So if this push doesn't work for Xyta, Francisco's set himself up minorly to have mostly map control. So we could see a point in this game if this doesn't end the game, if this gets stuck here and can't go through, we might see a point where Xyta starts running out of resources in his base and is stuck in a situation where he has to build a bunch of things that move out on land so that he can take more resources, or he's just going to have to run around with squads of workers and try push out with towers. So just run up here and secretly build a bunch of towers and then wall this off, and then he has access to all of these resources. But he's in a weird spot right now where he's kind of stuck on this. Pathing is good. No, no, say the catapults. No, as they shake their heads. But this, they do fit through. They do fit through, so Francisco has to... Excuse me. It's going to be a big game of noticing when Francisco sees this. We're not going to have Fog of War completely, but we're going to go to Francisco Vision and turn off Fog of War just so we can see when he actually sees those ships. We know they're over there somewhere, but this is kind of cute, just keeping it forward so that we can see when, like, we'll see down here if stuff's moving out. These are creatively placed units because, again, he's half anticipating that these barracks are still here and that there's another timing of some kind coming. Francisco's economy looks like it's heavily shifted to iron, so that means that, oh shit, we're going straight to China. We are actually doing that hand cannon thing that I talked about, but it looks like for some reason we're not actually producing them. They're 3 supply, we have tons of supply. Oh, because the reserves, duh. So he's waiting on the first reserves of hand cannons, which actually might time out pretty well for those siege ships. If he doesn't send them immediately across the map and they actually linger in his base a little bit, that first timing of hand cannons, because it's still 30 or 40 seconds away, might be just about when those siege ships start getting into his zone. These archers... oh, it looks like these guys ended up getting sent around. So this scout died or got moved. I can't actually tell. There used to be an archer here just scouting. I don't know if Xyta moved out and killed it or what. Sorry, I should be a little less hectic with my camera movement. Yeah, so that earlier move that I talked about where he would run for workers forward, Francisco's smartly scouting for that kind of a thing, where he's saying, hey, at some point you're going to have to move out of your walls. I don't see where you're building on land and you haven't run at me, so you must be going for Russia or something in the late game. I'm surprised that those siege ships aren't there yet. And our first couple of hand cannons and some backup archers are out, sitting in our base. I think we're a little bit late for the hand cannon push timing, but we've got these handy scouts already just prodding at his base looking for vulnerabilities. You can move this guy right the heck over here, and then these workers have to be annoyed. It's going to take him approximately forever to actually kill anything, but still, using his forces to get that information is so smart. But also, oh my god, we're building a bunch of houses back here for distraction tactics, I suppose. Xyta smartly focusing piers basically immediately. Francisco doesn't seem to have noticed completely yet. I can't actually see where Francisco's looking. He sure noticed. He's spamming out warships ASAP. This is just a glitch. This building doesn't actually exist. This building doesn't actually exist. They're just... their models are screwed up probably because of Fog of War things. Francisco has no piers. His IR is 65% done, but there are a ton of ships. A ton of ships, and it looked like his hand cannons had slightly moved out. He's got to start repairing so hard and so fast because this is so many siege ships that are just going to siege down. Oh, he's trying to evade. He's trying to evade, but I don't think he has time. I think he has to just repair. Yeah, that's it. That's done. Francisco with the capital LOL. He still had slightly resources, but his workers goofed out. Oh, that sucks so much. We're so close to holding. Because this start, like, even in the post-game, just knocking stuff down. We'll see. So these hand cannons will chew through these really quickly, and there's not a lot that the siege ship can do in response to that. He just needed his stupid workers to repair that extra, like, 2, maybe 3 salvos. All these archers get up close enough to start taking down the siege ships. Excuse me. All of these hand cannons can get in range and start taking those down as well. We're close. Almost held, but not quite. Good game to Xyta, who has left the game at this point. I was curious whether or not he was IR at this point or just getting in there. He actually rebuilt the barracks. Not sure why. But cool, yeah. Good game, Xyta. Wasn't expecting the double population game. That's funny. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the subscribe button. I might actually be doing... I've been stupidly busy of late, so I might actually be doing more of these. Grab replays from good players and just take a look at what other people do in the game. Kind of follow their strategies and just hang out and watch War Selection, honestly. It's a pretty damn good game, so thanks for coming by. Hit the subscribe button if you like, and I will catch y'all later.